I'm going to start this out with introducing you to Casey. Casey is the creator of the channel Vegetable Police. Prior raw vegan, then went keto, raw vegan, back to keto, carnivore, back to vegan. Just mental state all over the place. Acne keeps coming back, digestion issues, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't know where he wants to go with his life or what nutrition program he wants to be on. And now all of a sudden swears that the mythical ghost god, creature god, spirit god, or whatever is guiding him through his path, and that's what he wants to follow. So this is the typical mindset that you'll see on a lot of these diets. It's just people are lost and don't know where they want to go. Just a direct correlation to deficiencies. This is a wild hog that was sucked up into a harvester. They're harvesting corn here. Vegans will often tell you the bulk of the corn goes to animals and stuff like that, and then they'll incite or show you a bunch of false studies. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of it is exported, used for fuel, things of that nature, and very minimal is actually given to the animals in relation to what they state is given to the animals. If you break down the amount of animal deaths, they're much higher on harvesting fruits, grains, vegetables, things of that nature than killing one sentient life of meat to feed several families. This is Richard Burgess, aka Vegan Gains. Loves to attack people on the internet, loves to go after big names, loves to try to discredit and unqualify and call for the higher power of whatever he thinks he was trained in, or I don't know what you want to call it. This guy's just a loose cannon. He thinks he is the god to vegans and the god to critiquing people, and this is what I don't get. A vegan that's absolutely okay for human murdering but doesn't want animals to be touched at all. You ask him about abortion and he's like super excited, all for it. The dude has no balls. He's not interested in having a family at all and doesn't think that there's anything wrong with abortion whatsoever, but you can't eat an animal for nutrition. The vegan mentality is really fucked in the bigger scheme of things. If you just wrap your mind around it, it's insane. Richard often talks about getting those vegan gains, but the only thing he's been gaining is a lard ass. While the rest of us are trying at least our best to somewhat get healthier, he went from a very fit, slender, younger vegan to now starting to become pudgier and pudgier. He's forgot about hygiene. He doesn't know how to shave and clean himself up anymore. And he constantly talks about being sick, whether it's his head hurting, hearing voices, hearing noises, seeing lights flashing, or digestion, whatever it may be. I don't know that a vegan diet is really doing him very well, because if you look at the history of him being online, he's constantly sick all the time. This is the same guy that went after Furious Pete and made fun of him for having testicular cancer, but then ends up having to have stuff surgically done to his balls because now all of a sudden he's worried about cancer. Again, the vegan mentality. This is a vegan that I found on YouTube, and I just thought it was astonishing, the night and day difference between her face before and now, and how much she actually looks like a healthy human being on a carnivore diet, actually getting nutrition and thriving. Vegan Dr. Milton Mills. Here we go in his younger years. Doesn't look too bad, does he? Veganism, you would think, would treat him well. Already, he's got a little pudginess to him, but he looks like the normal human being. But as the years pass, veganism would not be so kind to him. He goes on in interviews talking about how he's changed people's lives through veganism, when if you stop eating the standard American diet and you switch to a vegan diet in general, and you reduce the amount of man-made processed foods, that alone would typically help people. But the argument is vegan really healthier than the standard American diet? Maybe not. Dr. Milton Mills on a vegan diet later in his years, obviously it's not doing him too well. He's gained quite a bit of weight and he's not doing so hot. Freelee the Banana Girl, veganism at its finest. Here we have a woman 7 years ago They decided to adopt a few dogs, and she wanted to put them on a vegan diet. Now, we all know dogs do not belong on vegan diets. They are carnivorous animals by nature. They are nowhere near a vegan in any aspect at all. But this is coming from a vegan, so this is what's expected. This is the mentality that vegans have. It is very, very sickening. Here we are back to Freelee the banana girl and the lack of hygiene, the lack of self-respect, the fact that she just feels like she should just stink as much as she wants, grow as much hair everywhere that she wants. In the grand scheme of things, she's correct. That is her choice. But what's up with this mentality, this vegan mentality, where all of a sudden the nasty beards get grown and the nasty hair that looks like somebody pissed in it 1,000 times, and then they get the body hair and stuff all over the place, and they just constantly look like some kind of homeless person living on the street that hasn't had some kind of shower or learned how to conduct any kind of personal hygiene in a long time. It almost becomes this ideological, cult-like driven mentality, and they all start almost aligning, just like it's just meant to be. You know, being on a vegan deficient diet, this is the type of behavior and look that we're seeing constantly, and it seems to be pretty symmetrical. This is Freelee the banana girl peeing on her own toilet. This is this really scared, really messed up, sadistic mentality type that all of a sudden you've got to be afraid of everything, but yet all for the animal lives. This is what we're seeing constantly here, and it's sickening. These parents wanted to put their child on a basically vegan diet, and the child got away, ran away from the home, and told authorities what had happened, that their parents had them on a vegan diet, and this child looked sickly. Other children have been killed on a vegan diet. Parents have put them on as infants, where they're getting no fat for brain development and things like that. And these children have died. Yet, we continue to promote a vegan diet? Why? Let's look at what Ryan from Happy Healthy Vegan says. The child had a very strict vegan diet that basically consisted of almonds, bananas, and grapes. Crail said, citing police reports, he had to have everything eaten in 30 minutes. So this child was basically forced to eat food in a certain amount of time. And Ryan says this isn't even good enough for a vegan diet, so you can't call it a vegan diet. Well, bullshit. Oftentimes in a vegan diet, you'll see vegans promoting a lot of ice creams and treats and sugars and things like this. Even though a whole food plant-based diet can be done, a lot of them go right to the very shit that they talk against as their crutch. And a lot of vegan women almost have this like skinny fat look to them. The bags under the arm, the droopy cheeks and neck, the turkey gobbler, things of that nature. And it's a very common look on vegan women that people often don't see. Pay attention next time you're looking at vegan channels and you'll almost see exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly the way I say it. This is Mike the Vegan. Some people would call him Mick the Vegan. Dr. Sean Baker likes to call him Prick the Vegan. But if you look at the pale, pasty skin, the really light colored lips, almost like there's some kind of deficiency there with iodine or iron. I forget which one it is. I get my stuff mixed up sometimes. The sunken in eyes, and I picked a better picture of him. I could have picked some worse ones and cherry picked them to show you exactly how terrible he looks up close in regular daylight lighting instead of this doctored up lighting with a backdrop and stuff. I mean, this is the face of veganism. Again, back to the hair that's just all over the place, the beard that's untrimmed or uncared for, and it seems to be a typical look. Again, we're going to go back to the color of the lips, almost a transparent look. The sunken in eyes, where it's almost like bruising around the eye sockets. And the the way that a lot of the men have this jawline that's just like the skin gets sucked up underneath it, because there's like it almost looks like the skin isn't real at times, and the transparency, the color of the teeth, almost like a see-through style. I didn't want to get real close on this guy, but one of the first things I seen is how pale his lips are. It's just not normal. These are deficiencies, raw nutrition, some of them. This is the same doctor on the right that started talking about keto being a bone density losing, muscle loss promoting diet, when it looks like his body has been catabolizing itself since he was born, and he's this walking true version of a stick figure that's just covered with skin. And to the left, you'll see the guy interviewing him is another vegan. I don't have much to say about him. I think his name is like Bananiac or something like that. I don't really know. They both have very similar features with the sunken eyes, the discoloration around their eyeballs and stuff like that. He's a newer vegan. He hasn't been doing it as long as them, but you can almost guarantee in due time he will also look just as bad. I mean, you can already start to see signs of it. So this is Dr. Michael McGregor, or Dr. Fartface is what some of us call him. This gentleman's name here is a vegan. His handle on YouTube is Earthling Ed. His name that he goes by when he does seminars and talking speeches and stuff like that is Edward Winter. But come to find out recently, Bobby's Perspective had some information dropped in his lap, and he started doing some digging. This guy's name is actually Edward Gaunt, not Edward Winters. It's a cover-up name for him and his girlfriend that have been paid for actors in the vegan community to basically sway things a certain way. He's got a vegan restaurant that he uses as cover, calls it a non-for-profit organization, but yet has shares in the company itself that would accrue amounts of money on the stock, or I would think that it would be stock that you could accrue money on, I should say. And it's all divided evenly between him and his girlfriend, and then another portion going to somebody else that's contributing to the company itself. They've got like a Twigs and Grass thing where they tell Twigs and Grass LLC or something like that, but basically it's a huge lie. It's a big cover-up. Edward Gaunt has been called out by Bobby's Perspective, and he has a video series right now going where he's on his 4th video that was recently released on the lies that this man is telling the vegan community, and the lies that has been created overall to cover up the money laundering, basically, that he's seeing from donations going into his company. The most sickening part about this right now is this is a doctor. Her name is Dr. Dre, and she has just let herself fall apart completely on a vegan diet, and it just continually gets worse. And it gets no better. This vegan mentality is screwed. And this is what everybody else is going to end up looking like too, if they choose to take this path. Wake up, people. Please wake up. Veganism is not the way to go.